Matthew Moore's Wood Studio. Today is Wednesday, August 24th, which means it's time for another weekly shop update. So what's been going on in the shop this week? Well, before we get to what's in front of me, just real quick, every single chapter of the Nakashima inspired dining table project is online and the plans have been updated, so that project is completely finished. So I'm pretty stoked about that. That is my 7th class for the school, and right here is the 8th. So let's talk about this. Well, I got here a set of wooden body hand planes I'm going to be building, and you guys know me, I try to do things a little bit different sometimes, and this is no exception. So I have here a set of 5 planes, 4 which are in cocobolo, and a 5th in walnut that's going to have an African blackwood sole. Now that's not really anything crazy or too different, because wood selection, everybody chooses their own thing. The big thing for me is I wanted to have some really cool hardware. So Lee Valley has their wooden body hand plane kit, which you get an adjuster, a blade, a piece of brass, and a whole bunch of other hardware. And I thought that was really cool. Who wouldn't want a modern day Nicholson adjuster on their planes? The issue there was there are some parts that they don't sell. So the last thing you want to do is buy 5 kits, or 4 or 3, however many you want to build if you're building more than one, and then have to go buy new blades for each plane, and you have all these extras sitting around. So what I did was, instead of using some of their hardware, I sourced out other parts. So for instance, the brass rods, I sourced these out. And I also sourced out knurled screws, which are really nice, and these inserts that are going to go into my wedges, and some other parts as well. So with that in mind, let's get into what's been going on here in the shop. So the walnut joiner is coming from a piece of 12-quarter-inch walnut. The other 4 planes are coming from 2 large billets of cocobolo. With them rough milled, I let everything sit overnight. I let it move, and amazingly, pretty much everything was exactly where it was 24 hours before. There was very little movement in these whatsoever. The soles were pretty much not moved at all. There was a little bit on the sides. So with that, I just milled them one more time, and then from there, I measured out with the blades on all the dimensions I would want for resawing. So I've got 4 different blade sizes here. The block plane I'm making using their 1 1/4 inch blade that comes with their apron plane. And that's this guy. These 2 guys here are going to be smoothers. One's going to be a 7-inch and one's going to be a 9. So kind of like a number 2 and a number 4. Those are going to be made out of 1 5/8 inch wide blades. And then my jack plane, which is the largest of the cocobolo planes, is coming out of a 1 3/4 inch blade. And then finally, my jointer is being built out of a 2-inch wide blade, or being built using a 2-inch wide blade. So I needed to account for all my widths, the amount of movement that I would want, so I can change the lateral direction of the blade and the bodies. So once I had that done, then I resawed all that material, and I left everything just a little bit fat so I can go back over to the jointer, square up the body, and thickness plane it to the exact thickness I wanted. And then for the cheeks, I left those a little bit fat too, so that I could come back, thickness plane the cheeks to the perfect thickness. And that gave me the bodies. From there, what I needed to do was mark everything out. These are all bedded at 45 degrees. And so I cut the 45s out, and then I cut the 62 degrees for the fronts out as well. And I did that over at the bandsaw. That got me to be able to get the body pieces separated without removing a lot of material that an 1/8 inch thick cut at the table saw would do. However, I did go back to the table saw and just trim off just a little bit of each edge after I made sure the blade was perfectly square. So off the table saw, I took a straight edge to it and everything was really square. I just wanted to clean up the cut from the saw blade. So I filmed a couple different ways you can do that. One from the bench using hand planes, and another, I took some sandpaper that had adhesive backing to it and adhered that to my table saw. Once I had all that cleaned up, then it was time to start doing a whole bunch of layout to figure out exactly where to put the adjuster. So in the kit you get from Lee Valley, they provide this piece of metal here that they want you to drill a hole in. This adjuster moves back and forth within it horizontally. So there's play in this thickness to this thickness. And this is just for wear. And Cocobolo is pretty darn hard. And to be honest with you, walnut, even though it's softer, is pretty hard as well. So my thought was, if I drill a hole that perfectly matches this dimension, which is 3/4 of an inch, and I put it in there and I drill it the perfect height, what's the difference? And that's where being able to make these planes without these additional parts that they ship, to me, made sense. And then from there, over at the router table, getting the perfect depth of cut to match the lateral adjustment that moves the blade in the front, and routing out that material to get the groove where this sits inside. And then you take your plain blade, put it on top, and all of a sudden you have a pretty cool mechanism for the lateral adjustment for your plane blade, just like a modern day plane with a Nicholson adjustment on it. So this is pretty cool. And that's where I'm at right now. I did that work for the rest of the plane bodies, all 5 of them. And I, like so many times I've told you guys this year, I'm getting on a plane again this week. So I'm flying out to Orlando for literally a day in, flying for a day, doing an event, meetings and so forth, and then coming back home Friday night. So this weekend, I'll get back onto this project. Now, this is the 8th project. The 9th project for the school is going to be a hand tool cabinet to hold all these beautiful hand tools I'm building and going to build in the future as well. So besides furniture projects, there's going to be some more tool-oriented projects in the shop. Tools that we use to help us build furniture, like a set of hand planes. So that's pretty much it for this week. I do have a question of the week for you guys, which is this: what type of wood would you want to build your hand plane set out of? Let me know. I'm really interested. Put the answers to that in the comments for the video below. And as always, please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like button, share your timeline, and head over to the MM Wood Studio page as well. And as always, have a great week in the shop.